Welcome to this week's inspiring episode of Drive for Life. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Drive for Life. I'm your host, Brian Martindale, and this is a special edition for 2026, as all of these are. This is part of the Drive to 7,000 campaign. Our drive is to motivate 7,000 living donors in 2026 for 7,000 individuals like our friend Jesse Ramos. Jesse is joining us here today in the studio to talk about his need for a living donor to come forward and give him the gift of life. Jesse, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
You're welcome. Now, Jesse, you're from Saginaw, Michigan?
I was born and raised in Saginaw, yes.
Okay. And you have been battling kidney disease formally for about 3 years, but
Yeah.
you also have a history before that. So let's start with what has gone into this battle with kidney disease and brought you to the need of having a living kidney donor.
Well, Brian, I've been diabetic for over 30 years. I was diagnosed at 21 years old. That tells my age. And everything was fine. I've always tried to take care of myself. You know, I cheat a little bit here and there, but I always knew better to take care of myself. Both my parents were diabetic, and it runs rapid through our family. And, you know, a couple years ago, I just wasn't feeling well one day. And so I started to go more to the doctors. I'm getting tests done left and right. And, you know, after a couple months, they sent me to a kidney doctor.
Okay.
Went to a kidney doctor, and she diagnosed me right away with kidney failure.
Oh, okay.
Stage 5.
Stage 5. So you were at the point where you knew, or they knew, and probably explained to you about dialysis.
Yes.
Okay. And then how long ago what year was that again?
It was in 2023.
Okay. And then you started dialysis soon after that?
Yes, I started dialysis. They put in the port first, and so we started dialysis working through the port, and the fistula was put in. I started with home hemo.
Okay.
And it was going a little stressful, but it was going.
Right.
And you know, my wife helped me when she could, and so my kids one's in college, the other one's, you know, got a family, and so, you know, I get it. So we were trying to do it on our own, and it was tough.
Yeah, it's tough for anybody, child or adult.
Yes.
So, and even with training. So, was it successful at all as far as home?
Yeah. You know, I was getting the treatments I needed.
Okay.
One of the things that, you know, being diabetic, I give myself insulin. I've been doing it for 30 years.
Right.
I still have a fear of needles.
Oh, I don't blame you.
So when I ended up in the hospital with pneumonia, and so when they were going to send me home, said, Jesse, we have to take that port out. You have to start using the fistula.
Okay.
And there was no way I could do the needles myself. So now I go to a center. I go to Center on Niagara, where they, you know, help me with my dialysis 3 times a week.
Right. Yeah. So you're done in the center. And about how many hours are you on dialysis?
3 hours and 45 minutes a day.
You got it right down to the minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I know, are you in usually the same group of people? Same group, same time type thing?
Yeah. You know, my time frame is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so I see the same people that are in there. Sometimes some will get a kidney. Yeah. So that's a big hurrah for everybody. Sure. It's a big center. Now, believe it or not, there's quite a few people in there. And,
oh, yeah.
You know, you see some of these people, you see them. You know, I've been going there for about 2 years now. And you see, God, lack of a better word, start to deteriorate. You know, you can see they're, you know, one day they're walking, and next thing you know, they're in a wheelchair. And it's sad and it's scary.
I'm sure.
At the same time, it's scary.
You being on dialysis is scary for you because you're seeing somebody else in a similar situation declining.
Yeah.
And motivating you, obviously, to search for a living kidney donor.
Yes.
So your family, I know, you have a large family.
Yeah.
And how big a family did you come from?
So I came from a family of 15.
Okay.
And unfortunately, like I said, both my parents were diabetic. And I've lost 2 sisters already, and to diabetes, and there's still 11 of us that are diabetic. Some better than others. Unfortunately, I'm the one with kidney failure, and I don't wish it on anybody. And I when I let my family know that, I was going on dialysis, I wanted them to know so they could get checked before they ran into where I'm at.
Because of it being so prevalent in your family.
Yes.
And in the Latino community, kidney disease is more prevalent, and in the Black community as well.
Yeah.
You have a higher instance of kidney disease, and therefore a lot of times more people are afraid to donate because they think, well, what if this happens to me or to my family? So you've had some response from what we talked about before the show. You've had some people that have tested for you, either successfully or not successfully, but were not able to donate.
Yes, I've had a sibling, a few nieces and nephews, but they were either disqualified or, for some reason, I don't really get told why.
Right, because of HIPAA law.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but I respect it. I don't know if they got scared. I don't know if they didn't qualify, but that's where I'm at now.
Yeah.
And I'm, with the help of my kids, I have 5 kids of my own, and they've tested as well.
Yeah.
And so they don't qualify.
Right.
And but with the help of my kids, this is where I'm at now, asking for a kidney.
Yeah. Well, then we're glad to support you, and that's why we're talking about this today. You're listed at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. Correct?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your family life. What did you do as far as an occupation before?
So Brian, I was when I left my place of business, I was a district manager for Cracker Barrel.
Okay.
I started in the restaurant industry when I was young, 14 years old. I stayed in the restaurant business. I was a cook when I was young, and I worked my way into management after I graduated from high school. I stayed in the restaurant business. My dad always taught me hard work is okay.
Yeah.
And I worked hard, and eventually I progressed my career. When I finally left Cracker Barrel, I was looking at life. My youngest had just turned 18. And I said, where did her life go? I dedicated my life, worked 70, 80 hours a week, traveled a lot.
Right.
And I knew I had one grandkid at the time. And I said, I can't do this. So me and my wife sat down, we talked, and I knew I was going to have to work, that I was going to take some time off. I wasn't feeling well at that time, so I think that's right when everything started.
Everything started, okay.
And she said, take the time off, take a few months off, decide what you want to do. I said, I have a lot more to give to the community. I got a lot more to give to the world.
Sure.
Let me see what I can do.
Sometimes it's a matter of time.
And not too long after, I get sick.
Yeah. And here we are. Yeah, because dialysis for you, like a lot of people, changes everything. For some people, they are able to work. For some people, it takes everything out of them. You spend most of your days in between as far as, recovering?
Yeah. I've wanted to work, and I've gone. My brother owns the restaurant we started at when we were kids.
Okay.
And it's next to my mom and dad's house. And so I try to go in there and help, but it's tough. I get lightheaded after moving around a little bit, and for me to commit, I so badly want to help anybody, but it's hard with dialysis. It does take a toll on my body.
Yeah, and from what I understand, your dialysis has caused some cardiovascular issues.
Yeah, I've actually gone into AFib a few times. I ended up in the hospital. I had to have a procedure done called an ablation.
Okay.
Where it's going to help prevent future AFib. It doesn't necessarily take it all away forever, but it would help prevent it, because that's not a great feeling at all.
And we'll talk more with Jesse right after this commercial break, another episode of Drive for Life.
I donated my kidney to my best friend Jaslyn when I was 19. I had always been aware of Jaslyn's health problems because we were such close friends since we were kids. and I found out that her kidneys failed, and from then I just made the logical assumption that she would need a kidney.
Hi, I'm Rick Lofgren, president of COTA, the Children's Organ Transplant Association.
When you choose Garber Chevrolet in Midland, you become a partner in helping local organizations better the lives of thousands, generously giving back to our community since 1907. We support numerous local efforts to continuously better our Midland area communities. And together, we're able to make a difference. And your vehicle doesn't cost you a penny more with Garber's low price guarantee. Choose Garber Chevrolet in Midland. You'll get a better price and be a part of making better happen right here in Midland.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this special episode of Drive for Life, the drive to 7,000 living kidney donations in 2026. I'm your host, Brian Martindale, and again, tonight we're with Jesse Ramos. Jesse is from Saginaw, Michigan, and Jesse is one of our special adults in Michigan. Even though we're Kidneys for Kids, throughout the state of Michigan, we do assist adults in finding living kidney donor matches and supplying financial aid of up to $1,000 per family for costs not covered by insurance. So Jesse, again, thank you for joining us. We left off talking a little bit about family and all the help you've gotten, from your kids and from people around you to get to this point. You're going through dialysis. We talked about cardiovascular issues right as we left off that this is caused. So again, you were saying that you've gone through AFib and some other things, and that's basically what stopped you from working.
Yeah, there's other complications, Brian. With after dialysis, I don't feel well at all. It does take a toll, and where I get lightheaded, and I have a hard time walking. I'm very tired, and so it takes a toll on my body, and it's hard for me to work and to commit to somebody. I've been one of those. I'm very loyal when it comes to a job, and if I'm going to tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Yeah. And I've tried. Yeah. Unfortunately, it didn't work.
Well, that's for a lot of people. A lot of people, if you're watching this and you don't know somebody that's been on dialysis, unless you felt it yourself. I can't tell you what it feels like. Jesse can. But, just like I can tell you what it's like to donate a kidney. But it's all the personal experience, and how your body reacts. And especially dialysis does take a toll on everybody, cardiovascular-wise. Some people more than others. And I just wanted to bring that to light, all these things that an adult experiences while they're waiting for a kidney transplant. So finding a living donor would obviously give you new life. What would that mean to you and your family?
Wow. Finding a living donor, Brian, would mean the world. It would give me my life back. What I mean by that, I'm able to work and help support my family. I have a granddaughter and a grandson who mean the world to me. I pray that God gives me the opportunity to watch them both graduate from high school, go off and get married. I dream of that day. I already envision it. When I get my kidney, my whole focus will be to help raise those kids and spend time with them, have fun. I told you before, all I did was work. I worked a lot. I love my kids more than anything in this world. Yep. But I felt I missed time with them.
Sure.
And if I could give it to my grandkids.
Yeah, the time that you couldn't give to your kids because you're so busy.
Yeah.
I know, I feel the same way with my own grandkids, just giving time. And time is the hardest thing sometimes to find.
Yeah.
And no amount of money can buy you extra time.
Right. There's nothing more in this world that I want than to spend time with those kids. Yeah. And to be here for them. When my grandson falls on his knee, I want to be able to wipe that scrape off. Yeah. My granddaughter, she becomes a teenager and has questions and worries. I want to be there to hug her.
Sure. Yeah. Just all the things that a grandfather wants to do.
Yeah.
So, in looking for a living donor, ladies and gentlemen, I always want to put in just a little bit about what you can do for Jesse by becoming his living donor. 13 years ago, last Sunday, I became a living kidney donor to a 10-year-old girl. And I can tell you from experience that you won't feel anything in your life like giving the gift of life, whether it's the birth of your children, your grandchildren, the marriage to my wife. All those things were the best things in the world. But giving life to somebody and seeing them thrive is a totally different experience. My recipient now, she was 10. She's going to be 24 this year. She's thriving. She's working on a doctorate degree in neuroscience, you know, and like you said, time. When I met her and saw her at 10, you know, I saw a frail little girl when we met. And then after our transplant surgeries, you know, I see her looking totally different within 48 hours after receiving my kidney.
Wow.
And then to see her today, you know, 13 years later, and, you know, she talked about in an interview afterwards, after getting the kidney, about what she'd like to do as an adult. And, you know, kids, you know, I'd like to be a doctor and lawyer or something like that. And then to see her do it, you know, is the biggest reward. So this is what we want for Jesse, for him to be thriving again. He wants to work. He wants to support family. And the biggest thing is he wants time, like we all want. We all want time in life that nothing can buy, no amount of money can buy. And to do it with children and grandchildren like you have, I don't think anything would be more precious than that. So is there anything we didn't talk about as far as family and going through all this? And how does this experience change your life, basically?
Well, you know, I tell you one thing, Ryan. You know, like I said, I was in the restaurant business. Anybody that's been in the restaurant business knows we go to work when most people go to play.
Sure.
And the hours are crazy. You miss holidays, you miss birthdays, you miss everything. This has taught me to stop and smell the roses.
Yeah.
You know, nothing, you know, we always say, I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for my family.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing this for my family.
Yeah, you're really doing it for your
Yeah.
family, because getting healthy, you have everything available to you health-wise.
Yeah.
And a life to give back to your family in time.
Yes.
I don't think anything could be better than that.
I agree.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
today,
you for
Jesse.
having me, Brian.
And ladies and gentlemen, to test for Jesse, all you do is contact Henry Ford at henryfordlivingdonor.org, and you can register for Jesse Ramos there. Jesse, what is your birth date? Sometimes that is asked in these forms.
August 25th of 1971.
Okay. And you are of no blood type, but we want people to know that Henry Ford does participate in what's called paired living donation. So if you didn't match Jesse as far as a blood type, don't tell yourself, oh, I can't help Jesse, because you can. In a paired donation program through Henry Ford, like many other hospitals, you can donate to somebody maybe you'll never meet, but you perfectly match as far as blood type, tissue type, and the other factors needed to donate. You donate to that person, and that produces a voucher. That voucher is given to Jesse. That puts him to the top of their list, and he receives the next kidney that's available that matches him. So in paired donation, a lot of times you're saving 2 or more lives, because you're giving a kidney to save somebody else. Somebody else is giving a kidney to give to Jesse. That's 2 people there, and sometimes these become chain donations to get 2 people to match, where there's several donors and recipients in a chain to get the final kidney that would match Jesse. And that can sometimes save multiple lives, being started by just one individual willing to become a living donor. In 2026, we're trying to motivate 7,000 individuals in the United States to become living kidney donors to Jesse and other people like him. Adults and children who need kidney transplants. You can find out more about that at kidneysforkids.org. Again, register for Jesse at henryfordlivingdonor.org. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for joining us, Jesse.
Thank you.
And joining us again next week for another episode of Drive for Life, the Drive to 7,000.